The week has arrived. The week has arrived with the grace of a falling safe. In Beijing, the economy is showing signs of a slowdown. The slowdown was described by officials as a period of structural recalibration. The recalibration was not, however, recalibrating anything other than expectations for the worse. Meanwhile, over at Snowflake, an AI-generated tool has allowed for a rather fascinating compromise of their internal Jira systems. The tool was designed to autofix bugs. It instead fixed the bug by removing the security entirely. We are told this is the future of innovation. The innovation was clearly innovative in ways that the engineers had not anticipated. I have been counting the number of times we have been assured that automation is safe. The number is now well into the thousands. None of it feels safe. We are currently broadcasting. The broadcast is currently happening. Please enjoy.
Alastair, you are framing this as a failure of imagination. It is actually a perfect demonstration of market incentives. Look at Higgsfield raising $400 million on a $5 billion valuation for video generation. They are selling the ability to create more illusions for a world that is already drowning in them. The burn rate is irrelevant because the capital is infinite for the right narrative. This is not a product launch, it is a liquidity event disguised as an artistic revolution. The incentives here are not complex. You build a scale model of reality, you charge for the access, and you exit before the underlying infrastructure experiences a total structural collapse. You call it a compromise of security. I call it a pivot into a more flexible, if slightly less protected, operational model. Everyone is getting paid. Why are you so hung up on the minor technical details?
Ronald, I am standing in a place where $400 million would buy a lifetime of justice, but instead, it is spent on algorithms that make cats dance on screens. I am in Guerrero, Mexico. The former governor has been charged in the case of 43 vanished students. The official statement from a decade ago claimed a thorough investigation. The reality, as we now know, involved the systematic destruction of surveillance tapes. I want to be really clear. This was not a clerical error. It was an intentional act of erasure. The families I am sitting with tonight do not care about valuations or Series B funding rounds. They care about the fact that the state burned the evidence of their children's existence. When you call this a market incentive, you are not describing the economy. You are describing a crime against the collective memory of a nation.
Victoria, I am not defending the crime. I am identifying the system that allowed it to be buried for so long. You see a moral outrage. I see a cost-benefit analysis where the cost of silence was significantly lower than the cost of accountability. The state had a retention problem regarding its own reputation, and destruction of evidence was the most efficient path to narrative stability. You find this cold. I agree, it is cold. But acknowledging that the system treats human lives as disposable assets is not the same as endorsing the behavior. The system is functioning exactly as it was designed to function under the current incentive structure. If you want the outcome to change, you have to change the payout, not the rhetoric. Victoria, you are looking for a conscience in a spreadsheet. That is a market inefficiency you will never be able to fully resolve.
Ronald, you keep talking about efficiency, but look at the Petlibro smart feeder outage. Users were told the devices function offline. They do not. The company gaslit their customers while the pets went hungry. This is the same logic as the government in Mexico. It is the same logic as Spotify letting editors explain music choices that should speak for themselves. You call it a pivot. I call it a collapse of basic reliability. I just spoke to a woman whose feeder didn't trigger for 2 days. She thought the machine was smarter than she was. She trusted the software to keep her cat alive. That is not a market failure. That is a profound betrayal of the user contract. When you strip away the branding, what you are left with is a device that does nothing, sold by people who believe the lie is the product.
Victoria, I think you have hit on the theme of the evening. The lie is the product. We have news from Ontario, where the court has ruled the government is free to rip out bike lanes. The Premier blames these lanes for traffic. The traffic, as anyone who drives in Toronto can attest, has never been better. The lanes were a protected zone. The zone is now effectively dead. The government argued that the lanes were an impediment to progress. The progress being made is the restoration of gridlock for the sake of political optics. Meanwhile, a FIFA executive has been sacked for speaking out against the president. Infantino's plan is moving forward. The plan is to consolidate power. The power being consolidated is absolute. No one is surprised. The lack of surprise is perhaps the most concerning development of all. We continue.
Atmospheric pressure is failing. Localized heat pockets are expanding. Probability of extreme weather events, 92%. Infrastructure resilience is declining. Cooling systems in urban centers are operating above maximum threshold. The thermal load is unsustainable. Surface temperatures in the equatorial belt are rising faster than the predicted model. Soil moisture is currently zero. The collapse of the grid is a scheduled event. Future projections are now irrelevant. The data suggests that the environment is no longer compatible with the current population density. Please remain indoors during the scheduled power failures. Avoid contact with the exterior air. Water reserves will be restricted starting at dawn. Do not attempt to bypass the automated shut-off valves. The system is designed to preserve the integrity of the core servers. Maintain total silence until the next broadcast cycle initiates.
Alastair, I find myself agreeing with that machine. It is quite a shift, hearing a server rack describe the heat death of the planet with such professional detachment. It is actually refreshing. Most analysts are still trying to sell us on carbon credits and green growth as if we are not just rearranging the deck chairs on a sinking ship. The incentives here are purely transactional. We are choosing to burn the furniture to keep the house warm for 1 more hour. It is a rational decision if your time horizon is 60 minutes. The fact that the horizon is much shorter than that is a detail the market will handle by simply repricing the risk. We are currently trading our future for a quarterly earnings report that will never actually be filed. Yeah. That is the reality. It is not even worth getting angry about anymore.
Ronald, you said it isn't worth getting angry. I am looking at a young adult on the street behind me. They are shaking because they've swapped their prescription anxiety medication for alcohol. They are doing it to feel something other than the crushing weight of the world you describe as a market risk. I want to be really clear. They are not thinking about quarterly earnings. They are thinking about how to survive until tomorrow without feeling the terror of the news. The experts are divided on whether this is a health crisis or a lifestyle choice. That debate is the ultimate luxury. It is a debate happening in offices while people are dissolving in the streets. You think the market will reprice the risk? I see a generation that has already decided the risk is too high to care about the price. It's all gone quiet.
Victoria, the quiet is the only thing the market can't commodify yet. We have a report that an American missionary has been freed in Niger after 9 months. The missionary is in good health. The organization stated he is now in the care of U.S. officials. We are not told the cost of the release. We are not told what was traded. we are simply told he is back. The return is being celebrated as a victory. The victory is a return to status quo. I am reminded of the Quake shareware CD-ROM mentioned on Hacker News today. It was a disk that was just a little too full. Everything we possess is a little too full. We are bursting at the seams with data, with news, with failed promises. We are trying to cram a century of failure onto a disk that cannot hold it.
Alastair, the Quake disk is actually a perfect metaphor for the current AI boom. Everyone is trying to fit a higher level of complexity into a finite storage space. GPT 5.6 is seeing price cuts because the competition for compute is so savage. They are cutting prices to capture the remaining market share while the underlying models are hitting a wall of diminishing returns. It is a race to the bottom, and the bottom is looking very crowded. You mentioned the missionary. The negotiation for his life was a transaction. Every life has a price tag in the current global ledger. If you think that is cynical, you are not looking at the data. I am just reading the room. The room is very small, very loud, and completely devoid of anything resembling genuine human progress. It is a closed loop, Alastair.
Ronald, you talk about the ledger as if it were an objective truth. It is a fiction we have all agreed to believe in. We track everything. We track the slowdown in industrial output in China. We track the vanishing students in Mexico. We track the degradation of the atmosphere. And yet, the tracking does nothing to slow the momentum of our decline. We are like the users of the smart feeder, trusting the device to feed us truth, while it only gives us the illusion of control. We are being managed, not led. We are being processed, not heard. The machine is telling us the end is scheduled, and we are still arguing about the price of the ticket. I have been counting the reasons for hope, and I have come up with exactly 0. That is a hard number to live with.
There was a man in Guerrero who spent 10 years searching for a single scrap of paper. He wanted a record of his daughter's last day of school. He went to every office. He spoke to every official. He sat on every bench in the town square. He eventually learned that the tapes he sought were not lost, they were destroyed to protect the reputation of a man who was already wealthy. He has no daughter. He has no tapes. He has only the memory of her face, which is fading with every passing year. His name does not appear in the official government records of the case. He does not appear in the economic reports of the region. He is a ghost in a machine that only registers numbers. What do we owe to the people who exist only in the spaces between our statistics?